In this video, I'm going to demonstrate using a grid to draw portraiture. Here I'm going to draw a portrait of Johnny Depp. I'm going to use one of my clear grids. This one is a 1 square inch grid, so each box is exactly 1 inch squared. I will attach it with tape to my photograph, so it stays in place throughout the duration of my project. And now that my photo has a grid, I need to also create a 1 square inch grid on my drawing paper. With a ruler, I'm going to make a tick mark at every single inch. And I'm going to do this on the top of my paper. I'm going to slide it down and do the same thing at the bottom of my paper. I am also going to do it on the right side of my paper as well as the left side of my paper. So I have made 1 inch tick marks on all 4 sides of my paper. Once I do that, I can take the ruler and match tick mark to tick mark, drawing my vertical lines and my horizontal lines, always with my ruler. It's very important that this step is followed precisely so your grid is accurate. Alright, now that I have a grid on my photograph and a grid on my drawing paper, I am going to number the top and side with numbers just as I see on my clear grid. I will be trimming my paper a little bit. You guys are going to see there's a couple little boxes that will be cut off when I'm all done. This grid is a 9 by 10 grid, so I need to make sure I have 9 by 10 on my drawing paper. What you are going to be doing is drawing exactly what you see in each box in the specific box on your drawing paper. It's very important that you're drawing lightly because you will be doing some erasing and editing every now and then. What I want you to do is pay very close attention to the lines and shapes that you see inside the specific box that you are drawing in. Since we are going from a 1 square inch grid to a 1 square inch grid, you should be drawing these lines and shapes exactly the same size and exactly where you see them on the photograph. Again, don't be afraid to use your eraser. You will probably use your eraser a lot with this project, and there's nothing wrong with that. Right now, I'm drawing an ear, but you would never know that. You just want to pay attention to what lines and shapes that you see and exactly where you see them within the box. When you move to row 2, you're going to do the same thing. Work 1 box at a time and really pay attention to where you see either certain values or shades, or where you see something that represents a line. Sometimes there may not be lines, but we see changes of value, changes going from dark to light. It's important to just make a tiny note of where you need to be doing this. Now this process does take quite some time, but as long as you are really working hard, working carefully in each and every box, by the time every single box is done, you're going to find a drawing that resembles your photo very closely. And don't think about the fact that this has taken quite some time. The longer it takes you, the more accurate it will come out. Something you could even do to make it a little easier is block off the area of the photograph you've already completed, so your eye focuses on less things going on. Now, I know I'm drawing half of the eye right now, but I still want to pay attention to only half of that eye. Okay, I'm only looking at that single square. I'm paying attention to how much space is underneath it, how much space is above it, in both my drawing and the image. Now that I'm working on the box that has the other half of the eye, I'm really going to pay close attention to where I see changes of value. So this whole general area up there is a lot darker than the rest, so I'm going to outline it. I'm going to carefully draw in the curves that I see within the eye. Pay attention to how much space you have underneath the eye compared to the photograph. And any little lines that you feel are going to be necessary, go ahead and add them in there. Just kind of mapping in where I see this, what I assume to be mustache and part of the lips. Notice I'm just blocking out where I see different areas of color. I know that those shapes are a lot darker than the rest of the areas there. Now I'm working on the other eyeball, but I don't see a lot of it in that box. So I'm just gonna draw just the tiny little pieces of the eye that I do see. Again, my goal right now is not to add any shading. I am simply mapping out where all the facial features are lining up within the grid. So it's very important that I pay very close attention to the size of the shapes, the size of the lines, exactly where the lines enter or exit the box. I'm just going to speed the remainder of this video up so you can see the final outcome before I go ahead and start shading. Once I have everything mapped out, my job would be to go in with my eraser. Although I know this is such a blast, you do have to go in there and erase the entire grid. So it is very important that when you create your grid, you make it as lightly as you possibly can. So this erasing step is not torture. So draw the grid lightly, draw your portrait lightly. In the next video, I'll show you how we start shading.